District Board of Education meeting for August 31st, 2021. Could I have everybody please rise? Before we do the flag salute tonight, we're going to recognize one of our own. We had a young man named Hunter Lopez that passed away. He is was a graduate of La Quinta High School. He gave his life serving his country in Afghanistan on August 26th. So when I was getting ready for the meeting today, I reread the Pledge of Allegiance. It's 31 words. It's one sentence. So when we say the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, please put your thoughts for the family of Hunter Lopez. His parents, Herman and Alicia, are both members of the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. And so this is a family that has served a lot to our community. So again, when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, please think about the Lopez family and what their services meant to our country that lets us say the Pledge of Allegiance and meet here this evening. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the roll call will reflect that all the cabinet is here and board members are present except for Wendy Jonathan, who I guess had some dental work today, and so she's not here. So we'll start off, Mr. Bailey, with the Indio High School Student Board Member Oath of Office.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to swear in our student this evening, our first student board member of this school year. So I welcome Darlene Aguirre Castaneda. Thank you for being here. And congratulations. A little bit about Darlene, her parents, I believe. We have a parent in the audience here. Do you want to introduce your parents? Excellent. The family is here. So Darlene is homegrown. She's attended Hoover Elementary, Indio Middle School, and Indio High School. She's currently attending Indio High School, by the way. Highlights of her educational experience: she believes in challenging herself in academics and stepping out of her comfort zone. Tonight would be one of those moments when you get to step out of your comfort zone, right? She enjoys water polo, swim, and drawing. Her leadership experiences include CSF, National Honor Society, ASB, and Link Crew. Her volunteer experience includes helping out at after-school events. And when I asked her to share an interesting or unique fact about herself, she said she's very outgoing and being able to hold a conversation. So, all right, awesome. So are you ready to step out of your comfort zone and join me down front to be sworn in officially? Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of August 17th, 2021?
So moved, Linda Porras.
By Linda Porras. Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
Seconded by Tricia Pierce. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that carries 4-0. Mr. Bailey, is there any addenda to this evening's agenda?
No changes.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting? So moved by Linda Porras. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Anna Conover. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. Preferential vote? That's you, Darlene?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? That carries 5-0. Community staff student recognition, Mr. Bailey.
I'd like to invite up to the podium Ms. Mary Perry, our PIO.
Thank you very much. I have 2 items, but I think before I start, Scott, you were going to mention something about something called a golden bell.
Be glad to fill in the
Thank you.
gap there. Yes, rarely does a California school district win a California Golden Bell by the California State School Board Association. We won a Golden Bell in 2019 for the LTE network build for our district, which was a unique project across the United States. I have just been informed that we're a finalist for 2 Golden Bells this year, one being the Early Literacy Project and the second being the Desert Sands Leadership Academy, DESLA. Thank you.
I think we should all give that a round of applause. It's pretty amazing. Secondly, I'm going to direct you to your screens. The committee working together to put together the first ever DSUSD Wellness Fair asked me to invite all of you to the event being held on Saturday, September 18th at Indio High School from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. In addition to the information you see on your screen, and please feel free to take out your phones and take a picture of this, but in addition, we will also have a vaccination clinic. It's being conducted by Riverside County Public Health, and the vaccines will be available for anyone 12 and older. So kudos to the team who isn't here tonight in the DSUSD Student Services Department for creating and coordinating this event. So Laura, thank you to your team, and thank you very much to Principal Lawson, who has really gone all in on this event, so thank you. Please join us. The second thing I'd like to do tonight is introduce all of you to the officers of the Desert Sands Educational Foundation Board. So I'm going to start by bringing up Sean Webb, our Director of Community Engagement and the Director of the Foundation. And I think, as you all know, I'm a member of the board of the foundation. So love working with this team. Our president, there she is, Kathleen Doyle. Kathleen, come on over here. Our vice president, Sandy Hersey, and our treasurer, Irene Creighton. They have a lot of things going on this year, so we're going to be telling you all through the year about some amazing events coming up. But I think I'm going to have Kathleen tell you a little bit more about the foundation. So Kathleen?
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for having us here tonight and introducing us. Our foundation board is composed of a wide variety of parents, grandparents, current employees, past employees, and community members. We all gather together and from a variety of backgrounds and come together for a common mission, which is to raise funds and provide supplemental resources to the students of Desert Sands through enrichment programs or providing them equipment and so on and so forth above and beyond what the district budget allows. So that's where we come in and we supplement for that. We just want to thank the district, everyone involved. We know that nothing's easy right now, and we're here to support you. So thank you for all the work and everything everybody's been doing right now in supporting us as we try to support our common mission, which is the students. As well, I would like to invite anyone and everyone here and in the community to join us at any time. We meet once a month, and you can find all the information on the district website to come out and help us in any way you can. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Introduction of new or recently promoted employees. Dr. Hyde.
Good evening. I am pleased to introduce Tanner Boyo, Prevention and Intervention Psychologist. Please come to dais. Ms. Boyo, whose name rhymes with Pollo, is excited to return to where she began her educational career as a school psychologist intern for Desert Sands over a decade ago. In 2012, she moved to Northern California, where she served districts as a school psychologist for over 11 years. Ms. Boyo is a graduate of Pepperdine University, where she majored in criminal justice and played Division I basketball. She earned a teaching credential from National University and served as a middle and high school history teacher for the Los Angeles Unified School District. Ms. Boyle decided she wanted to concentrate on helping students with special challenges and needs and earned a master's degree in science and counseling with a concentration in school psychology from Cal State University Northridge. A lifelong learner, she is currently working on completing a certificate program in applied behavior analysis to further her understanding of students with behavior concerns. Ms. Boyo has an 8-year-old son named Dashiell, and she shares many hobbies and interests with him, including traveling, boogie boarding, hiking, playing guitar, and songwriting. A fun fact, Mrs. Boyle played professional basketball for a season in Geneva, Switzerland. Welcome back to Desert Sands, Mrs. Boyle. Please introduce yourself and your guests and say a few words.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back. I'm joined this evening by Ann and Dave, my parents, and my little brother, JT. And I really want to thank all board members for giving me the opportunity to serve all the students, families, and staff of Desert Sands Unified School District. Thank you so much. I'm very, very happy to be back.
Ms. Pierce, do you have any comments?
No, yes, I mean. I'm looking forward to the wellness fair. We've had those in the past, and I'm looking forward to attending that and seeing what good things they have going there. And I'm looking forward to finding out more about the foundation myself and maybe attending some of these meetings to get more involved in that. And a welcome to, I didn't catch the pronunciation, Tanner Boyle?
Boyo. It rhymes with Pollo.
Boyo. Okay, the T is silent. Okay, thank you and welcome.
I just want to say welcome. My aunt went to Pepperdine, so that's pretty awesome. And I'm really happy to have you here and really looking forward to you being and doing what you do best. So welcome back. And I think it's awesome that your mom and dad and brother are here. So welcome.
Annika.
Ms. Boyle, congratulations and welcome to Desert Sands. Thank you.
I'd also like to take the time to welcome you to Desert Sands. This is going to be an engaging year for most of our students, and in your field, we're really going to need your help as we try to get our students back on track and back at grade level. So welcome to Desert Sands. We'll try to give you every opportunity to succeed and do your best. Darlene, do you have any comments?
I would like to say welcome, and I'm sure you're going to do great and make a lot of connections with students and the staff.
We have no information items, staff conference items. Who's doing staff conference items? Okay.
I believe we have a guest speaker, and Mr. Aquino will introduce our guest speaker.
Good evening, Board. Every 10 years, our district's existing voting areas must be reevaluated and planned for potential adjustments due to updated census data. Ed Code requires that the boundaries of the trustee areas shall be adjusted when the census data is released. Due to delays caused by the pandemic, the census data won't be released until the end of September, which is significantly later than usual. We will have a shorter time frame to complete this evaluation process, which will be due by the end of February of 2022. Tonight, you will receive a presentation by Justin Rich. He's our consultant and the executive director from Cooperative Strategies, and he will discuss the process and timeline to complete the evaluation process.
I suppose I should be over here. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about the timelines associated with the process and background, just to what brought us to here, and also talk about some of the data and information that we will use as part of our analysis. So in accordance with Education Code, following every census, school districts are required to do a couple of things, those that vote by area as you do. First of all, looking at the existing population and making a determination if the population is still balanced amongst those areas. And if they are not balanced, then we have to make certain adjustments to bring them back into balance. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. As Jordan mentioned, typically we would have this information already. The timeline is compressed and for a number of reasons. And I'll talk about the process moving forward and what that will look like. So at the tail end of the process, the deadline for completing all of this work is February 28th, 2022. And that's to be ready for the November 2022 election cycle. So not surprisingly, the release of the census data has been delayed by the COVID pandemic. We had data that was released August 12th, and many of you have probably heard of that. That data then goes and is validated by the State Department of Finance. Certain adjustments are made, and so we expect that to be, we're promised that will be done by the end of September, but we're hopeful that it'll come sooner than that. That'll allow us to get started. So this compresses the time frame. I think those districts that are looking to transition from at-large to by area are more impacted by that, but there's still plenty of time to complete our process. Now, one thing that's unique about this redistricting process is that unlike other actions that the board might take, the process for doing this is not outlined in statute. So it really represents what, going through a number of public hearings if that's what you decide, but there's no requirement that tells you exactly how the process should be conducted. So we've provided a couple of maps that show your current trustee areas. This first one here shows the entire district boundary, and then the next one zooms in on the area where the population is most densely concentrated. We've also provided a table that has some population data. I'll note that the TP represents total population as provided by the 2010 census, and then the CVAP is the citizen voting age population. That is also prepared by the census, but by the American Community Survey, and that's collected from the years 2015 to 2019. So it's relevant for us. The total population is how we need to, that's the number or the figures that we need to use in order to balance population. And then in terms of the Federal Voting Rights Act, the citizen voting age population is helpful for us to make sure that we're not creating situations where we're making it more difficult for what are known as protected classes, those racial and language minority groups, to elect the candidate of their choice. And so that's relevant and something that we will keep an eye on throughout this process. So there's a number of considerations that go into drawing trustee areas. Again, we're going to have to figure out if that's something that the district will be required to do. But if you were, then these are the things that we would keep in mind. There's a couple of these criteria that are required by the law. These are hard and fast things, such as the balanced population requirement, making sure that all of the population within each area is roughly balanced, and also that they're in compliance with the Federal Voting Rights Act. To the extent we can accomplish those, there's other considerations as well that are important to make sure that we're providing for good representation and that we're keeping in mind certain communities of interest. So we try to draw boundaries that are compact and contiguous as much as possible. That's not always possible given the boundaries of districts and also the variance in terms of population densities, but to the extent we can, we try to keep that in mind. We also respect communities of interest as much as possible. These are groups that are defined as groups that have shared social and economic interests. Oftentimes when we're looking at geographic features, those are natural dividing lines or boundary lines for those communities of interest, so we also keep that in mind, and also respecting incumbency to the extent that we can. Now, other local considerations that K-12 districts often think about are, where school facilities are located and where school attendance boundary lines are drawn. And those can be another consideration or criteria that we would take into account as well. So just to go back to the timeline here, after tonight's meeting, we're going to go back and sometime during September, we will receive that information, the census data that's validated by the Department of Finance. And then we will be coming back to you either October 5th or 19th to give you our assessment of where things stand today and whether or not your trustee areas are in balance. Following that, if necessary, the next step in the process would be for us to prepare potential maps and share those with you. We would post those on your website so that the community could review those and provide comment if necessary. And then we would come back in November to present those maps, present any input and feedback that's been received along the way. We've carved out some time in December, if necessary, to hold another public hearing and to share revised maps if necessary. And our goal would be to adopt and have a final plan in January. Following that, the district would send that information to the county committee and to the registrars of voters, and they will begin their work to get set up for the November 2022 election cycle. That's all I have tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions or provide any clarification.
Darlene, do you have any questions?
No.
Pierce?
No, thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Porras?
Thank you for the presentation, and no, I have no questions.
All right.
Anna Conover?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
We have 5 trustee areas, and I believe your grid showed 7. And so I want to make sure I didn't interpret the grid wrong. Right there.
You're right. I'm sorry I did not catch that. I assure you next time we'll have that corrected.
Well, I remember when we did our trustee areas, we all had 35,000. So I don't know if one is, or if you're duplicating in there, but we were right at 35 per trustee area. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. If you could get us an updated slide, maybe we could get that in the Friday packet so we could see it.
Certainly.
Other than that, I have no questions. Jordan, did you, or Jeremy?
No, we could add that updated slide to the board's Friday letter.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Okay, we have no public hearings. Discussion, COVID-19, Mr. Bailey.
Quickly go into our updates from the various divisions. So let's start with Dr. Kelly Mae Vollmer, Educational Services.
Very much. Just really quick, one update. As a reminder, Assembly Bill 130 allows for independent study as an option for students that have a reason not to attend school in a face-to-face educational environment. And as mentioned at the last meeting, the numbers at Horizon Independent Study have grown considerably since right before school started. There are currently 635 students enrolled at Horizon in the Independent Study program. And this boom in enrollment obviously required some flexibility among staffing and among parents and among students, as some teachers had to move from their original home site to Horizon Independent Study to be able to serve the students that had moved from their home site to Horizon Independent Study. So I just want to really applaud everyone's flexibility in making that happen, and especially the great work that's being done by the staff at Horizon during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vollmer. Perfect segue to Dr. Hyde, Personnel Services Division.
Yes, thank you. I too want to just give a quick update regarding some of the impact that obviously the pandemic has had a measurable impact on the demand for alternative programs such as the district's independent study program of Horizon Virtual Academy. As Dr. Vollmer indicated, beginning the day that school started, the demand for families opting for independent study versus traditional instruction at a comprehensive campus has been remarkable. With the unprecedented surge in enrollment in the independent study program, the district moved quickly to identify staffing needs, develop a transition plan, and balance enrollment. In all, the district hired 4 new teachers, transferred 8 teachers from the sites that they began the school year at to fill the staffing needs, not only at Horizon Virtual Academy and but also Amelia Earhart Elementary School, where we had a bump in enrollment as well. What I'm really excited about is this process typically takes 2 to 3 full weeks to complete, and I'm very pleased to report that we were able to accomplish this through collaborative effort, this feat in just under 1 week. I would really like to recognize students, parents, and families, principals, administrators, and teachers for their efforts in making this vital transition a smooth and successful process. It really was a collaborative effort, and I really, really appreciate what everyone's done. I also wanted to give a quick update on Executive Order N1221, which was signed by Governor Newsom on August 16th. This executive order, one of the stipulations within it, waives the typical 6-month waiting period that teachers must serve from the effective date of their retirement before returning to work as a certificated employee for a school district. This decision has allowed the district to actively recruit recently retired teachers to serve as substitute teachers, which is a tremendous need right now in our district. Last week, the district opened a certificated substitute teachers vacancy for recently retired DSUSD teachers on EdJoin. We hope this results in recruiting some of our former highly qualified and successful teachers to return to the district in a much-needed role as a substitute teacher.
Thank you, Dr. Hyde. Now to Mr. Jordan Aquino, Business Services.
We've had supply chain disruptions that significantly has affected our food service operations during the pandemic. We've been dealing with a number of canceled orders, food and supply shortages, which requires us to substitute our products, unanticipated price increases, and delayed and canceled deliveries with little to no advance notice. Just this weekend, as an example, we've had necessary orders delayed. Fortunately, our dedicated food services team was able to receive the food deliveries this weekend when they were originally meant for during the week. We have and will continue to meet the nutritional needs for our students despite the supply chain disruptions. However, in order to meet those needs, we wanted to inform our community that these disruptions will sometimes require us to make last-minute changes to our regular menu items, which will be based on what products we do have available in the warehouse.
Thank you, Mr. Aquino. And to wrap up division reports, welcome back Laura Fisher, Student Support Services, please.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be back. We have provided updates to our district COVID safety plan per current CDPH and county guidance. It was posted on our website this afternoon. Please take some time to review and note the appendix at the end of the plan. We have added a few documents that were created to provide user-friendly flowcharts for our parents, community, and staff. Sometimes, as we know, the guidance can be a bit complicated, so we hope that these user-friendly flowcharts will help for everyone. Appendix A is our Too Sick for School, which has been out, is provided to serve as a guide to help parents determine when to keep their child home due to illness. During this time, it is critical that students do not come to school if they are sick. So if you have questions, and sometimes it's hard to tell, please take a look at that document. Appendix B is our student symptom decision tree that is currently used at each site when students are feeling ill to screen students and determine next steps when they come into the CARES room or the health office. Appendix C is our current parent notification letter that is provided to the parent when the student is sent home following that symptom decision tree that will have next steps for the parents. Appendix D is a new flowchart providing information for student quarantines, including the modified quarantine that's aligned with current CDPH guidelines. That is one of the more complicated quarantines, so we're hoping this chart makes it a little easier to understand when a nurse or when you're receiving information on a quarantine. Appendix E is also a new flowchart providing information for staff quarantines, which is also aligned with our current CDPH guidelines. Appendix F is the mask exemption form to provide the opportunity for parents to request a mask exemption for their child. Their form must be completed by the parent and a licensed medical provider and submitted to the district. We hope the updates will provide some clarity to the guidelines and protocols. We are also adding the final touches to our enhanced COVID dashboard to provide updated and clear information regarding our active students and staff positive cases in the district. Thank you.
That concludes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. We'll now move on to public comments on open session items. Before we start this, there's been a review of our board policies regarding public comment, and just to let everybody know, there are no provisions in our board policies to allow the ceding of time. And so if you'd like to address the board, you can address the board one time for a total of 3 minutes in accordance with our current bylaws. So on that note, I will turn it over to Ms. Conover.
Communications from the floor. In accordance with bylaws of the board 9323, time is reserved for oral communications by members of the Board of Education or by citizens present. Citizens wishing to be heard on agenda items shall have a 3-minute limit and should indicate their intention at this time. In accordance with the law, decisions of the board cannot be made on any matter not previously published before the board meeting, as indicated in bylaws of the board 9323.2. I have one online public comment. I have two, but one is to be read out loud, one is not. The first one to be read aloud is Melanie Holmick, and this letter is to Ms. Jonathan. Dear Ms. Jonathan, I hope this email finds you well. I am a new parent to DSUSD with my oldest daughter having just started kindergarten at Washington Charter this year. However, both my husband and I have attended elementary, middle, and high school within the district years ago. We currently live within Trustee Area 1. I am writing to share my thoughts and concerns over the K-12 mask mandate and ask that when the opportunity arises, you share some of these concerns with the board and advocate for the rights of the parents you represent that do not have a voice to be heard otherwise. I understand the difficult situation you are in and the reality that there are some parents that feel differently than me, but I want to share with you my experience of sending my children to school without a mask last year, a point of view that I have not heard represented at previous board meetings. During the 2020-21 school year, my then 2-year-old and 4-year-old attended a local preschool with no social distancing and a mask requirement only for staff. As you can imagine, with toddlers and preschoolers, it is near impossible for them to keep their hands to themselves, and despite the best hand washing and sanitizing efforts, germs, bacteria, and viruses will inevitably spread. Yet my kids were safe. And outside of one staff and one student infection in which proper cleaning and classroom quarantine subsequently took place, no other cases of COVID occurred over the entire 10 months of care. What this school did do, however, was empower parents to adhere to a strict stay-at-home policy when a child showed any signs of illness and limit exposure across classrooms as much as possible. I hold a Master of Public Health degree and have worked at the state, county, and local levels of government, and I have yet to find any credible evidence or scientific study that shows schools with a mask mandate had significantly lower rates of COVID infection than those that allowed parent choice. I would also like to speak to how your current K-12 mask mandates affects my 5-year-old every time she steps foot in her new school. She is surrounded by new students, unfamiliar adults, adjusting to new routines and expectations, and trying to make friends while covering her primary source of communication, her face. She does not know if someone is smiling at her and wants to play, if someone seems angry or mad at her and wants to be left alone, or how best to pronounce letter sounds and sight words from a math teacher in the front of the class. The World Health Organization states children aged 5 years and under should not be required to wear masks. This is based on the safety and overall interest of the child and the capacity to appropriately use a mask with minimal assistance. Yet DSUSD has thousands of TK and kindergarten children that are 4 and 5 years old wearing masks every day. I am asking, why have we not considered the adverse effects of a mask mandate by age group served in Desert Sands? It seems obvious that a 4 or 5-year-old will have much greater difficulty learning and reaching basic academic milestones than an older child that has already mastered the skill of reading or who has lived the experience and understanding to respond to and engage appropriately when they cannot see another student's face. And my time is up on that one. The other one is not to be read out loud. And my first speaker, Kate Silvera.
trustees, and cabinet members. I am Kate Savera. I'm an elementary art specialist here in our district and a mom of 2 attending our elementary schools. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you this evening. I know you are tired and frustrated, and quite frankly, I am too. I am frustrated that someone needs to respond to a number of non-existent issues instead of the numerous pressing matters that need to be addressed. It would be great if you can get genuine public opinion on actual agenda items. Let's take the language of the proposed civic instruction. I applaud you and the schools encouraging high schoolers to register to vote. It would be an amazing feeling for those students to learn about American civics, voting procedures, and to actually partake in their civic duty together. Imagine the productive discourse that could be achieved if we talked about item 21.4 regarding students and bullying. How can we define bullying and keep all stakeholders accountable for their actions? Ironically, instead of that discourse, we saw in real time bullying from members of the public. Rather than those discussions, you are continually berated for keeping our students and staff safe, ridiculed for allowing a broad, honest, and inclusive curriculum. We could be discussing the lack of mental health services this district students have access to, how elementary schools only have 1 counselor for their 600 to 700 students, the overcrowding in many classrooms, the teacher shortage, the physical needs of our students. But instead, we have to take time away to talk about masks. Instead of our community coming together to celebrate change and success, you have seen your new staff members or promoted community members at the last few board meetings sitting here in the front rows being called named and shamed for wearing their masks. This district's governing process has been stalled because of the loud and disruptive. And unfortunately, due to the lack of mask wearing at these board meetings, you stopped the majority of the public from attending, the parents and guardians trying to keep their families safe. To change the scene, I think it's important, though, to take time to say thank you. Thank you for keeping masks on students and teachers and continuing to do so. Thank you for making sure all teachers are vaccinated. And I'd like to end this by saying there's much more that we can do. Smaller class sizes in elementary schools. Try teaching 33 fourth graders or 28 kindergartners in a tiny room. More support for staff and counselors to better our mental health. And obviously more transparency. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Clark Hahn.
Good evening. My name is Clark Caney, and I'm here as a concerned and fed-up parent of a 2nd grade student at Washington Charter Elementary School. I won't waste everyone's time stating numbers and facts on the ineffectiveness of masks, the infection rates and lack of danger of COVID to children, or the fact that many Desert Sands employees living their regular lives out and about every day without masks, although some of these employees have this board making decisions on their behalf, on union recommendations and not listening to the core of schools, children, teachers, and parents. I won't do this because it's become very obvious over the last 18 months this board isn't interested in listening to that rhetoric. I assume most of you ran for this board to try and help the education process. Under the assumption you would like to understand what students are experiencing right now, I'd like to paint a visual picture of a current 2nd grader like my child. You had a shortened kindergarten year at a new school. You had most of your 1st grade year behind a screen by yourself, possibly with a parent if you're lucky, in some cases going through growing pains of non-tech savvy teachers dealing with their own frustrations. As the 2nd grade approaches, you meet your teacher, see your friends and smiling their faces. You go to school and see these masked strangers with no smiles, no visual cues of happiness, excitement, or understanding. You're trying to learn to read. Your mouth and your teacher's mouth is covered. You can't see whether your teacher approves your pronunciation with a smile or disapproves with a playful try again. Your teacher is fantastic doing their best, but neither of you can understand each other with your face masked. You begin to cry in frustration. You try to speak with what you're trying to say. Your teacher still can't understand you. You stand up, wave your arms because this is the only visual cue you have left. Finally, you rip your mask off, start speaking, and the teacher can see your face, your frustration, and your anger. If all this sounds familiar, it's what happened to you, Don Griffiths, at the last board meeting when you stood up, dropped your mask, kicked everyone out, and threw a fit like a 2nd grade student. If a well-educated lawyer like yourself can't communicate effectively with a mask, how do you expect school-age children who are already doing their best to learn massive amounts of information to do so? Each of you were elected to represent your area and its voters. I watch these meetings, and all I see is parents, grandparents, teachers, students being vocal about their dislike to these mask mandates. Please do your job and represent us. We as parents are fed up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. My name is Mitchell Billman. I have 2 kids in the district and had 2 other ones, so they go to the Palm Desert schools. There's a lot of talk about science tonight. I'm sure there will be, and all around. The numbers from the CDC, which you guys like to quote all the time or follow their rules, is from 0 to 4, only, 2.3% of them can ever have gotten COVID. 5 to 11, 12 to 15, 16 to 17, you're talking 10% of the population. And not even that, they're the 10% least likely to get and then pass on COVID. So the question is, if you're following the science, why are the ones who are least affected and least likely to pass it on the ones who are being required to wear masks? The sign out front here gives us the choice. And why do we have a choice when we, dare I say our ages, are probably the most likely group to get it and spread it around, which is the 40 to 55-year-old range? We have a choice, but they don't. Is it because you can control them? You can tell them yes or no? You guys, they're afraid of you. They're afraid of the teachers because they get sent to the class if their mask drops below their nose. They're made to feel like criminals. By making them wear masks, you are teaching them that if they breathe on somebody, they are potential killers now. That they cannot risk killing anybody just because they're breathing. I wish that psychologist or psychiatrist lady was still here to ask what impact that has on somebody, to allow that. A second topic, you need to talk to teachers and get them to stop playing mainstream news in their classroom and giving nobody a chance to talk if they know what their political views are. It's just not right. My son had some concerns years ago and went to speak to Mr. Zink over at Palm Desert High School. Great principal. When we sat down with him, he said, "Do you want to know what my political views are?" He goes, "I'm not going to tell you and you're never going to know because it's not your business and it's not my business to tell you." You have teachers telling kids, I hate people who don't get vaccines. I hate anti-vaxxers. You know, you liked Trump, you didn't like Trump. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know if you guys even know what's going on in the classroom, to be honest with you, if that's what's happening. We can complain and nothing gets done. Nothing at all. And this is a small little topic, but every day I'm getting emails from both my kids' schools that somebody they knew somebody who might have gotten in touch with somebody who may have had COVID. How many times do we need to get these emails about this? We know what's going on. If your kid came in personal contact with somebody, send them an email, fine. But you've got third-level people who are in a different part of the country that may have spoken to somebody. And it's ridiculous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would like to talk about how in my school, when I joined school, my teacher every day plays CNN 10, which she says is, no, it's unbiased. I asked her why she plays it. She said it's the only thing that's appropriate for students, unlike other news, which my thinking is kids are listening to rap music and playing violent video games. How is it not okay? Then I tried to correct her because it was wrong. It said, Biden never knew the Taliban was going to take over. I'm like, he said they're not going to take over. He lied. She said, that's your opinion, when there's literally tapes of him saying it. And also, I'd like to bring up that in my school, my class, I joined an Apex class and I was this close. One of the curriculums you can pick from is ethnic studies, basically critical race theory, and they're not talking about how it's made to divide kids and how it's make them hate each other and hate our country. If you want our country to succeed, you need to teach kids to like our country. And in my school, since the teacher plays CNN in class, we had a sub last week who got no lesson plans because it was an emergency sub, and all the kids were telling her, oh, you need to put on CNN. And I don't want kids to just immediately think, oh, you play CNN because that's what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to go to that instead of giving them other options. And I'm sure if she did play another option, she would put on Chris Wallace because that's what she thinks a conservative is. So I want to just say the guy that's on the news, she says he's different from CNN, even though he's just a CNN writer. And he works there and he does his show, but he also writes for the network. And CNN 10 is just a section on their website. And what's interesting is I went on my school Chromebook. I was able to access the Washington Post, CNN, and MSNBC, Fox, but Newsmax, which is very conservative, did not call the election for Joe Biden, is blocked because it says this isn't an appropriate site. I don't get how it's not an appropriate site. And one more thing, Don Griffith, I want to say you're a coward for what you did last time. You need to understand that parents have concerns. Parents do not have to listen to what you say. We pay you because you get paid by tax dollars, and we voted for you to represent us, not represent Gavin Newsom, not Joe Biden, and not anyone else except for us in the district.
Next is Joshua Lacroix.
Hi, my name is Joshua Lacroix. I grew up here in this district all my life. I've gone to school here. My kids, the biggest misunderstanding that I don't get is we've had a year and a half to prep for COVID. Schools were shut down. And one of the biggest concerns I had when I showed up to the school, the kids are wearing the mask, but there's 36 kids in the class. Like, that makes no sense. You think you would have added, with all that money you guys are waiting for, added more portables, more teachers. That doesn't make any sense for them to be so on top of each other. I have 36 kids in my niece's class, 34 kids in my son's class. My daughter's other classes, she has more than 30 in each class. It makes no sense. If you're actually talking about safety of our children, the fact that you got to sit outside in 45 minutes to wait to get picked up by the cars in a mask at 115 degrees. The first kid that drops, I will personally hold each and every one of you responsible for that. That is wrong. It's child abuse. You cannot breathe through them accurately. They are personal protective equipment. They only protect you. They don't protect the person next to you. It only protects you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Rachel Lacroix.
Hello, I'm Rachel Lacroix. I also grew up in the school district, and I have a daughter in 5th grade at Oliphant Elementary, and she is in a classroom of 36 kids. In here, I look around and everything's spread out. There, it's not. You see on the news, plexiglass up, social distancing. So if we're going to follow the science, let's really follow the science. The social distancing should be a must, but I don't believe it's about safety of the students. I believe it's about money, because you've gotten extra funding, and we're not social distancing our kids, we're masking them. And I don't agree with it. I don't think it's okay. I don't think it works when my daughter is sitting closer to a kid than you are sitting. What works about that? I would like to talk about other school safety issues. And, shade structures in the playgrounds, there is no shade. So I agree that it's great that they allow them to sit in an NPR that's packed full of kids, but they can't have a shade structure outside. They're sitting out and it's taking 15 to 20 minutes in the sun, and these kids are wearing masks. It's unacceptable. Why are there 36 kids in a classroom? That is so unacceptable. So when it becomes the safety of the kids, I don't believe that that's what the masks are about. It's very frustrating. And I think you guys should do a better job of changing it. If you want us to follow the science, then social distance them. Put a little room in between them. All their desks are butted up against each other at her classroom. It's pretty bad. So, and now you're saying that we can opt out of the mask, but we have to get a doctor to say it's okay. So you get to decide, and a doctor gets to decide, but I don't get to decide what's right for my child? That's unacceptable. You guys need to do a better job. You need to represent us. Thank you.
Okay, great. Hello, my name is Evan Truby. I am a DSUSD parent and a DSUSD husband. My wife is actually a school teacher here as well. I'm here tonight to talk about the vaccine and testing mandate for teachers that is being mandated by the state. I suppose it's supposed to take effect October 15th. And just one thing before I start, I just want to remind everybody that good government serves its citizens, bad government serves itself. And right now, I believe we have very bad government that is seeking to micromanage every aspect of our lives. For the past 18 months, we have been lied to. The government and the media have been lying to us consistently and with impunity. Here are just a few. If you remember 2 weeks to flatten the curve, remember that one? They said we were in a pandemic, when in fact, we have a respiratory virus with a 99.5% survival rate, 99.998% survival rate for kids ages 0 to 18. That's, to me, not a pandemic. We were told that vaccines will defeat the disease and that vaccines are safe. This is the biggest lie of all. The vaccine is not even a vaccine by the CDC's own definition, as well as any other definition you'll find in the dictionary. It is a gene therapy shot that the CDC even admits will not prevent the infection. That's been from the get-go. It was meant to diminish symptoms. So there is no such thing as a breakthrough infection. That's another lie. I don't know where they got that talking point, but it can't happen if it doesn't prevent infection. The benefits of the shot diminish over time, meaning that anyone who gets a vaccine will need booster shots continuously for the rest of their lives. And what is the point of a vaccine card or mandate for teachers if you got the shot in January, but its effects have worn off by now anyway? You're no more safe around the general public than somebody who's not been vaccinated. And there's lots of data that indicate that natural immunity for people who've gotten the disease and fought it off and survived is far superior to getting the shot. The shot is safe. That's another story we're told. Vares, Vaccine Adverse Effects Reaction Reporting Site, is an independent website. It was started in, I believe, 1990. It's used by the CDC and the FDA. It allows physicians to report adverse reactions. It's a clearinghouse. They've reported over 600,000 adverse effects here in the United States, over 14,000 deaths from the shot. This is not a conspiracy site. Like I said, this is an official reporting site for physicians. In previous vaccinations, any deaths over 25 to 50, the rollout was stopped. Shots stopped, vaccinations stopped. We have over 14,000 counted. Harvard studies indicate that's about 1/4 of what actually gets reported historically. And why are you hearing about this from me and not the mainstream media? It's strange. Even asking my wife to be tested weekly is intrusive, it's humiliating, and it segregates her from her peers. I'll see you in 2 weeks to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the comments. That's all the comments.
Board and Superintendent Comments. Darlene, do you have any comments?
Right now?
Okay, Tricia Pierce.
No, not at this time.
Linda Porras.
I just want to welcome Darlene, and I was the Hoover Honey, or whatever they are now, and Indio High School Raja, so anyway, welcome. Glad to see you here. And I also want to just mention that my glasses are fogging, I can't even see. Anyway, that I love the new paint job that the district has. It's beautiful. I don't know how many years you told me, Mr. Bailey, but it's been so many years that the district has not been painted, and it really needed it, and it really looks great. So I just wanted to say that. So anyway, thank you.
Anna Conover.
Welcome, Darlene. It's nice to see a student board member joining us. And those are all my comments today.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming. It's going to be we had a good start to the school year. I had the opportunity to go with Palm Desert High School to Dixie, Utah. The coach, McCombs, was a great experience for our student athletes at Palm Desert to travel. Some of them had never been out of the area before. So I thought that was a great experience. As far as the masks go, I believe we will continue to follow what we are told to do by the state and the CDC and Riverside Department of Public Health. And when we
quoted you the numbers. The CDC said they're not working.
hey, and there was a case, and you can look it up. It's Orange County School Board versus Gavin Newsom that went up to the California Supreme Court, where the Orange County School Board wanted to see if Gavin Newsom had the ability to order students to wear masks, and the Supreme Court said he did. So, all right, what I'm telling you is we are going to follow what the Supreme Court said. Your time is up. These are my comments. I'm telling you what I'm going to do.
Kowtow to the teachers' unions. We all know it. But I'm sure glad we have a nice paint job here.
Not once have any of you talked about what the impact on the students of this mask mandate is. Not once.
Why don't we learn about the recall instead of
Teaching our kids that they breathe near their friends are going to kill them.
Your time is up.
You want to dismiss me like last week? Last month?
If you want to continue to disrupt the meeting,
Well, I'd like to say something that's relevant to what we're doing here.
Why don't you pay attention to the private schools that have been open with unmasked kids for the last 12
because we're not in charge of the private schools. All right, so we'll move on to the next section. Oh, Mr. Bailey, do you have any comment?
No, I'll pass.
All right. Okay, move on to general function business services, 18.1, resolution number 6, 2021-2022. Appropriations due to the reconciliation of the 2020-2021 estimated ending fund balances to the 2020-21 unaudited actual fund balances. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So move, Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
How were the raises last year? Were they good? During the pandemic? When we lost our jobs?
Sir, if you can't be quiet, I am going to ask you to leave.
You're going to ask me to leave? I'm sitting here.
Look at that calendar.
If you respond to us and talk to us, we wouldn't be like this. You have to
Is there any discussion?
No discussion.
A roll call vote. Tricia Pierce,
Aye.
Linda Porras,
Aye.
Anna Conover,
Aye.
Don Griffith says aye. That carries 5-0 or 4-0. Okay, general functions 18.2 to 18.4. Do we want to take those as a group or individually?
I make a motion to take general function items 18.1 to 18.4 as a group. What?
Already voted on 18.1.
I mean 18 he said it. I'm sorry, I copied you.
18.2 to 18.4.
18.2 to 18.4 as a group, I'm sorry.
Second, Linda Porras.
Seconded by Linda Porras. Any discussion on any one of these three items? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That carries 4-0. General function ed services, we have 5 items, 19.1 to 19.5. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Make a motion to take general function ed services 19.1 to 19.5 as a group. Tricia Pierce.
Second, Linda Porras.
Seconded by Linda Porras. Is there any discussion on any one of these items? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that carries 4-0. General function personnel services, the revised certain classified management salary schedule. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved, Linda Porras.
Moved by Linda Porras. Is there a second?
Second, Anna Conover.
Seconded by Anna Conover. Any discussion on this item?
I just wondered, Dr. Hyde, what was the change on that as a revised schedule?
Yes, we updated the schedule to reflect the new safety and industrial hygienist manager position.
So some certain job titles. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That carries 4-0. General function, student support services. I think we have 4 items here. We do. Is there a motion to approve 21.1 to 21.4, or should we take these individually?
Take general functions 21.1 through 21.4 as a group.
By Anna Conover. Is there a second?
Second.
Porras.
By Linda Porras. Is there any discussion on any of these 4 items? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That carries 4-0. General function superintendent, there aren't any. Call out of consent items. Mr. Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. President. As pertains to closed session, item 3.1, the board took action on 23.1, reinstatement student number 1819-03, 23.2, reinstate student number 1819-35. Item 23.3, reinstate student number 19/20-06. Item 23.4, reinstatement student number 19/20-28. And finally, item 23.5, reinstate student number 19/20-39. The board approved these items on a motion by Mrs. Porras, seconded by Mrs. Conover. The motion carried 4-0 with 1 member not present.
Thank you. Consent items, business services. We have 11 items. Is there a motion to take consent items, business services as a group or individually?
We take consent items, business services, items 24.1 through 24.11 as a group by Anna Conover.
By Anna Conover. Is there a second?
Second, Linda Porras.
Seconded by Linda Porras. Is there any discussion on any of these 11 items? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That carries 4-0. Move on to consent items, educational services. We have another 11 items, 25.1 to 25.11. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Take them as a group, 25.1 to 25.11, Linda Porras.
By Linda Porras. Is there a second?
So moved, or a second, Anna Conover.
Seconded by Anna Conover. Is there any discussion on any of these 11 items? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That carries 4-0. Consent items, personnel services, we have none. Consent items, student support services, we have 6, 27.1 to 27.6. Is there a motion to take these items either individually or as a group?
Okay, consent items 27.1 through 27.6 as a group.
Conover, is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
Seconded by Tricia Pierce. Any discussion on any of these items?
Just a question on 27.6, the Memorandum of Understanding with Coachella Valley Adult School. How many schools will they be in?
They are at the Eisenhower Adult Education Center during the day. And then we have night classes both at Roosevelt, John Glenn, and I'm not sure if we've done a third school. I know that's continuing at Roosevelt and John Glenn. But we usually do the night classes at a different site. But the ESL, citizenship, high school diploma, GED, those are offered all at Eisenhower and then throughout the other
Thank
sites.
you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That carries 4-0. 28, there are none for superintendent. Personnel action certificated. Is there a motion to approve 29.1, the certificated personnel items?
Anna Conover.
By Anna Conover. Is there a
Second,
second?
Linda Porras.
By Linda Porras. Is there any discussion?
Is this when I can mention about the one retiree for certificated teachers, since Wendy's not here? Paul Schlosser is at Indio High School, was at Indio High School, and he's retiring after 22 years, our only certificated retiree this
Okay,
time.
whoops. Okay, let's backpedal on this one. There's a blind item. So I didn't have that in my notes. So what is, Dr. Hyde, do you want to read out the blind item? Yes, sir. Under 29.1, we are pleased to recommend the appointment of Megan Peterson to the position of program specialist. That blind item added to the agenda. Ms. Conover, do you still want to make the motion?
So moved.
Or do you still want to second it?
Yeah. Linda
And
Porras.
Tricia Pierce, do you still want to comment?
I just said Paul Schlosser is the only certificated retiree from Indio High School of 22 years this month. Congratulations.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That carries 4-0. Personnel actions classified. We're good?
A
Is there a motion to
motion.
approve this?
Make a motion to approve personnel actions classified. Tricia Pierce.
Pierce, is there a second? Seconded by Linda Porras. Any discussion on these items?
I'll call out two ladies that are retiring. Sylvia Barbosa at Palm Desert High School, retiring after 20 years as nutrition services assistant. We probably wore her out this year, maybe. And Beverly Sanchez, the same at Shadow Hills High School, with 16 years as a nutrition services manager. Thank you for your service.
Pierce, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I will abstain.
Oh, that's right. All those opposed?
She related to
Crickets?
somebody.
Abstentions?
Aye.
By Anna Conover. So that carries 3-0-1. Call out of closed session actions. Mr. Bailey.
Yes, as pertains to closed session agenda item 3.3, tonight in closed session, the board took action to approve the following matters. Number 1, general release and settlement, SSS number 01/2021-2022. Also, general release and settlement agreement, SSS number 02/2021-2022. This motion was made by Mrs. Conover, seconded by Mrs. Porras. Motion carried 4-0, one member not present.
Suggestions for future agendas that receive at least 3 votes. Tricia Pierce.
I have none.
Linda Porras.
I have none.
Anna Conover. Okay, and so I have one, but it's not really in the right spot, and that is, I'd like us to at least start having the discussion of maybe having a staggered school start so that our high schools start like they are starting now,
so they can get done before the winter break and they can meet all their AP testing requirements, but then to have our elementary schools start after Labor Day when it's cooler and they're not out in the heat all the time. I know that would be a negotiated item with our unions, and we would have to do that in, I believe, 2022 or 2023, but it just seems like the laws are being made in Sacramento for the big cities and the coastal communities, and I think our younger students might benefit from a staggered start, and we should at least potentially look at that for the benefit of our students. There's nothing we really can do, and there's nothing really to report back on other than it's just something I want to put on a burner, because I think it would help our students. I think it would be a lot easier on the younger kids to start after Labor Day.
I agree.
So if we just start kicking that around and putting it out there in the ether, maybe we can get some traction. Okay, so announcements. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education is Tuesday, September 21st, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the District Education Center boardroom at 47950 Dune Palms Road, La Quinta, California. We will not reconvene into closed session because we are closed, and we will adjourn the meeting at 8:10. So see you in 3 weeks, not 2.